The Browns have picked up Jedrick Wills' fifth-year option, and there are some mixed reviews on it. So we're going to break down this news item here. I'm going to kind of go through the facts of it, and then I'll offer some analysis, takes, and opinions, and whatnot. But Jeremy Fowler this morning tweeting out, sources, Browns are picking up the fifth-year option on left tackle Jedrick Wills. This guarantees a salary of $14.175 million for 2024 for the former number 10 overall pick. So with that being said, let's kind of start the show off by going over the facts, and then we'll talk about, was this a good decision by Cleveland? Like Fowler indicated, $14.1 million is the price tag for Jed Wills in 2024. Now, this does ensure that the entire offensive line for Cleveland is under contract through this season, 2023, and next season, 2024. So Deshaun Watson will have the exact same starting five, barring any injuries or any kind of cuts, but at least as far as the contracts go, the same starting five for his first three seasons in Cleveland. And I think that's something Andrew Berry wanted to do, right? Andrew Berry wants to make sure Deshaun Watson is successful and not reshuffling the five guys in front of him who all get Rolexes from the quarterback at the end of the season is a good way to do that. Now, the fifth-year option deadline is today. This is the last day for NFL teams to pick up for fifth years on their former first-round picks. So the Browns took this all the way to the deadline. I think they probably went into the draft with a bit of a plan to try and see if they could find an upgrade. They did not. I said when they drafted DeJuan Jones, that was not a Jed Wills replacement, and sure enough, it does not appear Cleveland views it that way. Now, let's start to get into opinions here, right? Now that we got the facts out of the way, I'm not surprised. I'm really not. I thought going into this offseason, they would pick it up. When they didn't do it before the draft, it was a little 50-50, and it kind of made you wonder if they had a draft plan to try and replace him. I wonder who that guy was they were looking for that did not fall to them, whether that was in round 3 or round 4. But given the value and what you're paying him, $14.1 million for a left tackle is not like an overpay. As far as left tackles go, that's really good value in my opinion. And I think ultimately that's why Cleveland picked it up. So do you guys think the Browns made the right decision? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no to make things simple down in the comment section below. This is the pinned comment. YouTube likes to put ad breaks around here. So let me know what you're thinking down in the comment section. PFF grades from Jed Wills last season, he ranked 59th out of 84 qualifying tackles. So from a PFF standpoint, the numbers don't really back up Jed Wills getting $14.1 million, right? Just an overall grade of 62.9, better pass blocker than run blocker. We know this. Now, in his career, here are his overall PFF grades from year 1 through year 3. You've seen an improvement, and honestly, if the ankle injuries go away, there's good reason to believe that Jed Wills will be a good left tackle. Will he ever look like a left tackle that was worthy of the 10th overall pick and should have gone ahead of Tristan Wirfs? Probably not at the rate that his career is going right now, but he's not like this all-time bust or anything. I think some people get a little carried away with Jed Wills is an awful pick, it's a bust. No. Should he have been the number 10 pick looking back? Probably not. Would Cleveland redo that selection if they could? I would think so. But Jed Wills is a good left tackle. Is he a great left tackle? That somewhat remains to be seen because he's only in his third year in the NFL. There's a lot of runway in front of him here. As far as $14.1 million goes, it's not that big of a price tag when it comes to left tackles, right? He's actually only going to be the 24th highest paid tackle in 2024. So it's not like this is some massive overpay and he's one of the league's highest paid offensive tackles now. That's really not the case, and that's probably why Cleveland picked it up, because they had a decision to make. Could they find a better left tackle for less money than $14.1 million? The draft is a good way to do that, but if you didn't find one this year, well, the next year you'd be drafting one, and he'd be a rookie starting left tackle. That's a bit worrisome because you don't have a first-round pick, so you're not getting one of the premier left tackles. Could you have found one in free agency better than Jed Wills and less than $14.1 million? Potentially. But you'd probably have to pay more if you wanted to get a better one, and I don't know if that's going to be an option for Andrew Berry with what he has to work with salary cap wise. So in conclusion, when it comes to Jed Wills and $14.1 million, has Jedrick Wills looked like a $14.1 million NFL player? Not really so far. No, right? He is mostly coasting off being the number 10 pick and getting that fifth-year option picked up, right? If he was a second-round pick, I don't think we'd be talking about him getting a second contract with the Browns when this season is up. Is he a top 24 tackle in football? I think so. I do. I do think Jedrick Wills is a good left tackle in the NFL. Is he going to get better next season? I hope so, right? It seems like he's making strides to improve year after year. And then there's also this. Kaleb McGary is a prime example of sometimes it's worth it to pick up the fifth-year option so that you don't get stuck with a bigger price tag if they have a breakout season in a contract year. The former first-round pick for the Falcons got off to a really bad start, at least PFF-wise, early in his career, right? 53.0 overall grade in 2019, in the low 60s in 2020s and 2021. They do not pick up his fifth-year option, and so in year 4, he's one of the best tackles in football, and Atlanta ends up giving him a bigger contract than they would have if they just picked up his fifth-year option. So I think Andrew Berry is looking at this going, is $14.1 million a good investment to see if Jedrick Wills could be our future franchise left tackle? If you think it's worth it, then sure, pick it up. And so honestly, I think that's what the train of thought was for AB and the Browns. Now we're going to look at some other free agent targets, or some free agent targets, that is, and some free agency news in just a moment. But help us reach our next milestone. We picked up a bunch of brand new subscribers during the NFL draft. We're 330 away from reaching the next milestone, 19,000 subs. So if you have not subscribed already, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, I just have to assume you are an all-time big Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and we don't want that here at the Cleveland Browns Report. So leave no doubt. Make sure you hit that sub button down below. Now, on the show, we're going to talk about some free agency. But one more thing before we go full circle or kind of end the book on Jedrick Wills. Andrew Berry in this move here is investing in his investment, which is Deshaun Watson, right? He has to do everything in his power to make sure that there are no stones left unturned to give Deshaun Watson everything he needs to be a successful $230 million quarterback. And a great way to do that is to give him consistency at the offensive line, right? Give him the same front five year after year, if possible, without some dramatic overpays or holding on to bad players. So I think this is Andrew Berry going, not only do I think Jed Wills is worthy of a $14.1 million paycheck to see if he could be a future left tackle or to just have a good left tackle on your books for another season, but also it helps keep Deshaun Watson moving and upwards. That way he has the same front five year after year. We also have some news to hit on here besides Jedrick Wills. Cameron Justice tweeting out the Browns have signed punter Joseph Charlton, who spent training camp with the team last year. Comes out of South Carolina. He was with the Jags last year. He has just kind of jumped around practice squad to practice squad. This is nothing more than just an extra camp leg. I don't think this is a real competition for Corey Bojorquez. New special teams coordinator with Bubba Ventrone. So maybe he wants to see some punter action, some punter duels going on. But I think this is just an extra camp leg for the 90-man roster and for OTAs to help keep drills moving and whatnot. Next up on the show, I want to talk about some free agent targets still out there, because now that the draft is over, you're going to see a flurry of teams making free agent signings because they know what their holes are after the NFL draft. But before we get to that, make sure you check out this great deal going on over at Fanatics. Chatsports.com/CLE combo. You can get a t-shirt combo, a short sleeve and a long sleeve tee on sale too. So 2 t-shirts on sale when you use that link. It's in the comments and the description of today's video. So PFF's Brad Spielberger tweeting out, after 4 p.m. today, teams can sign veteran free agents without affecting their compensatory pick situation. should be an uptick in signings for that reason, and also now that all 32 teams know their remaining roster holes. So if you might see some free agent signings, we're going to look at some 5 guys the Browns could sign, starting with running backs here. Let's talk about Jerrick, McKinnon, and of course, I have to include Kareem Hunt because Andrew Berry did not close the door during his press conference before the NFL draft on potentially re-signing number 27. Now, the stats for these two guys last season, Jedrick McKinnon, despite being on the wrong side of 30 as far as running backs go, he put up 10 touchdowns. Now, 9 of those came through the air. 1 was on the ground. So if the Browns want to give Deshaun Watson a better receiving back on third downs other than Nick Chubb, Jedrick McKinnon could be their guy. If they think that Kareem Hunt still has some gas left in the tank despite posting 3.8 yards per pop last year, maybe they look for a cheap reunion in Cleveland. If you had to pick a running back, though, between these two players, who would it be? I love Kareem Hunt. I thought, Kareem Hunt was going to be much more special last year in this offense. Unfortunately, never really lived up to the billing. If I had to go with one, I'd probably lean Jedrick McKinnon. Now, when we look at Cleveland's running back room, the Browns did not add a running back in the draft like I thought they might, right, to try and start to plan for the post-Nick Chubb era. So that sort of leaves just one RB2, Jerome Ford, their 5th-round selection out of Cincinnati last year. He had some nice special teams plays in 2022. Remember, he suffered a high ankle sprain in the Falcons game, hopped on IR for 4 games. We never really saw much of him coming out of the backfield. So maybe this is full Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski going, we're done with the veterans. Let's go and invest in our youth and our own guys, and let's check out what Jerome Ford has. Moving on to some more free agent targets. What about in the interior defensive line? A couple of Seattle Seahawks players are still on the market. Poona Ford and Shelby Harris are 2 players that maybe Cleveland takes a look at as they drafted a defensive tackle, Ika, in the NFL draft. But that was really the only move they made on the interior defensive line. Now, stats-wise, here's what Poona Ford and Shelby Harris did in 2022. Remember, Poona Ford did have a visit with the Browns before the NFL draft, a couple of weeks beforehand. He also visited with the Jets. So Cleveland did some sort of research and homework on Ford, and I wouldn't be shocked with the Perrion Winfrey situation if they decide to add an extra defensive tackle. Right now, you've got Dalvin Tomlinson starting for sure, and I'm going to go with Jordan Elliott. Maybe it ends up being Winfrey, or maybe it's the rookie out of Baylor, Siaki Ika, right? Those are 3 options that could compete for that other defensive tackle spot. I really feel like they don't want to run it back with Elliott with the way he played last year. But if Winfrey has some more character concerns and Ika as a rookie is not ready to step into that role, maybe the Browns decide, let's check out free agency and look at what we have over there. Our 5th and final free agent target for AB is Myles Jack, the linebacker who was a big pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then he went over to Pittsburgh, and they moved on from him after 1 year. The reason why I bring up Myles Jack is because the linebacker room for Cleveland looks the same as it did before and after the draft, which frankly shocks me. I thought they would for sure draft a linebacker with Walker and Taki both coming off season-ending injuries last year. There is not a lot of confidence, in my opinion, that they will be ready to go week 1. And if they're not, I don't know who the next starting linebacker is. Is it Tony Fields or is it Jacob Phillips, who also ended the year on IR last season? So Myles Jack last year for the Steelers, he never really provided a lot of oomph plays, right? 3 tackles for loss, no picks, not a lot of penetration in the backfield. He was more of just a serviceable, run-stopping inside linebacker, which is perfectly fine if that's what the Browns are looking for, to sort of bridge the gap until Taki and Walker can return and be at full health. So now I want everyone watching to name a player Cleveland should sign. Let me know down in the comment section. Drop a name of someone you'd like to see the Browns sign now that the draft is over and we have a much better idea of what Cleveland's roster holes look like. That is it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. If you have not already followed me on Twitter, consider doing so. I'm always tweeting about the Brownies, about the NFL, all that good stuff. So hit me up over there. DMs are always open if you want to talk ball.